Hello and good evening to our greatest assets, the citizens of St. James Parish. It is a humbling experience to serve as your sheriff, and in all things to God be the glory. I stand before you this evening providing information on our first year in office, our review of the most recent audit, and future sheriff office projects. I would like to thank the many deputies that stayed on and endured the atmosphere prior to my entering the office as your sheriff on July 1st, 2024. Prior to taking office on July 1st, 2024, I asked the previous administration 3 times to be let into the civil office to get that administrative transition started and was denied. I informed the previous administration that I would like to keep his civil office administrative team and was told that they would not be staying with my administration. I then asked the previous administration about getting civil administrator hired and trained by his current employees and was denied. There was no transition. There were 38 deputies, sheriff office employees that either left, resigned, or retired prior to June 30, 2024. On July 1st, 2024, we took office and had 40 new hires to continue to serve and protect the citizens of St. James Parish. Civil office employees were not provided with all the financial institution information, passwords, or transition of authority paperwork. I thank First American Bank for stepping up and assisting us with the several accounts opened by the previous administration. I thank S.J. Reef for enlightening us at their open account with the previous administration. We were later able to establish contact with LAMP, L-A-M-P, accounts, but were denied access because no one from the previous administration provided them with the new transition profile. I was not allowed to participate or provide any insights or challenges into the 2024-2025 budget by the previous administration. Previous administration 23 to 24 capital outlay was set at $2.4 million. And for my budget, 2024 to 2025, budget capital outlay was set at $700,000. I was only allowed to place orders for 3 administrative vehicles in June of 24, and no orders for patrol vehicles prior to taking office July 1st of 2024. Our civil office. I would like to thank St. John Parish Sheriff Mike Trigg. I would like to thank Lafourche Parish Sheriff Craig Weber. I'd also like to thank Assumption Parish Sheriff Leland Falcon for allowing our civil office employees to be trained on collecting property tax, property sales, and also collections. I would like to especially thank the Louisiana Sheriff Association out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, for their help and assistance with human resources, documentation, insurance, and retirement procedures. Throughout the 2024 and 2025 budget year, we received past due invoices, project closing fees that were due, all totaling $452,000, $529.65. February of 2024, under the previous administration, a policy was enacted to pay employees with unused sick leave up to 600 hours for their time. Previous administration had not done this in 32 years under his watch. This cost the taxpayers $403,000. July 1st, upon my entering, I terminated that policy. Our new hired CFO at the time left for another job in January of 2025. In the middle of property tax collection, and we scrambled to get that position filled with our internal auditor. I went ahead and hired a CPA, independent of the audit firm that was conducting the audit, to overlook the finance and do a thorough search of our books and bookkeeping. We recently had an audit team, Calder, Slavin and Company, LLC, October 13th through October 17th, conduct their audit. I'd also like to say this is the same audit team that was used by the previous administration. Their finding was the budget that was set at 5%. I was at 6.4%, a 1.4 difference. However, our total revenues were $1,297,573. Remember, there was $452,529.65 in past due fees and late notices that had to be paid, and $403,000 paid to some employees that left before June 30th, 2024. Through it all, at the end of St. James Parish Sheriff Office audit, once again, we were in the positive of $1,297,573. Financially, we're standing firm. I would like to thank the citizens of St. James Parish for the passage of the renewal of the millage. God bless you. Since then, we have implemented some strategies, not only to help this department move forward, but also to have our more community involvement. I stand firm when I say we had to regroup, refocus, and rebuild. And with some of the implementation that we have done, we have moved our CID, our criminal investigation detectives, our juvenile detectives, our special investigation detectives, closer to the Lutcher Gramercy area. A faster response time for calls for service, more community insight, and more community visibility. We've also assisted with local Lutcher and Gramercy Police Department, assisting and or backing them up on calls for services. This year, through our 2024 to 2025, we have taken 59 dangerous weapons off our streets. 4 of those weapons were reported as stolen. To get a close connectivity with our juveniles, we have implemented the Junior Deputy Program. With that graduating class, it offered to St. James Parish youth between the age of 12 years of age and 16 years of age. It is a 6-week course that introduces them to some of the working parts of the sheriff office, and also with our partners with Acadian Ambulance Services, the Volunteer Fire Department, and St. James Parish Hospital, teaching them and showing them things that are needed for life education. Building and strengthening relationships between law enforcement and our youth of our community while teaching them life skills. We also implemented a Citizens Academy, 18 and up. It is offered to, once again, 18 and up. It is a 10-week course that as we align with our citizens, the adults of St. James Parish, that they can gain a working knowledge of also what it takes in being a deputy, what it takes at serving the citizens of St. James Parish, and what implements, tools, and vehicles that we have that can better our relationship with our citizens of St. James Parish. There's a lot of misinformation that's put out there, and we're hoping that with this class that we can go ahead and enlighten our citizen with facts of how we work and how we strive to pursue the oath of protecting and serving our citizens of St. James Parish. I'm not one about the demographics. Yes, we're separated by the Mississippi River, united by the Sunshine Bridge and also the Veteran Bridge. This is about an oath that I have taken to protect all the citizens of St. James Parish. With that, I have added 2 additional personnel to help with our senior citizens, networking, checking on them, and providing them information with fraud and scams that are happening in our parish. We've come up with the saying, LEAPS, law enforcement and precious seniors. These pamphlets or flyers will be located at the Convent Courthouse on the 1st floor, at the sub-office in Vacherie, Louisiana on the 1st floor, and also the 3 senior citizens deputies that we've hired to go out. They will be passing out these flyers because our seniors are precious, so that we can communicate with them and enlighten them on the schemes and fraud things that they are being targeted with. As I continue, I've also implemented in getting some of our part-time deputies to make unscheduled visits at all of our schools in St. James Parish. My heart's desire is to have school resource officers in all of our schools. But we're working with what we have currently at hand. They've been instructed to conduct walk-arounds or walk-throughs and drive around our school, checking doors and also mingling with the students and the staffs at these schools. We've also implemented clergy and business breakfast meeting within St. James Parish. Having that connectivity with the clergy of this parish and also the business manager, that we can begin to enlighten and share vision of how we move this parish forward. I should also say that we have the Sheriff's Summer Youth Camp that has been enacted again, ages 9 to 12. Teaches gun safety, shooting airsoft pistol, and also with the St. James Parish 4-H Club, archery, boating, safety and rides, sheriff office boats, 4-wheeler safety, how to properly ride and what equipment, and especially not on the highways of St. James Parish. We have week-long sheriff office training facilities. We have separate camps for the boys and girls. And it's about building a relationship with law enforcement and a youth of our community. And as always, fun activities, and we encourage teamwork with one another. focusing on the forming of the partnership to better serve our citizens, the clergy breakfast and the business breakfast. Meeting with churches, neighborhood groups, industry, local and state leaders, other law enforcement agencies, and emergency responder agencies. I would like to share with you, we've also created a liaison spot between St. James Parish Sheriff Office and also our District Attorney's Office. This partnering is bettering to communicate to our detectives, to our deputies, and testify, looking over our written reports, so that we can have not only upon the arrests, but also conviction, but also plea deals, and also rendering of verdicts on a jury trial. I've gone ahead and placed BDAs, biodirectional amplifiers, within St. James High School and also Lutcher High School, that all first responders can have radio transmissions or connectivity that they can hear one another, and also our dispatchers. That cost alone was $105,000. But it's about protecting our students, your kids, your grandkids. Because without that direct communication, we had to be mindful of what we were responding to. But that's one of the first things that happened upon entering as your sheriff. We're now looking at crime cameras and license plate recognition readers within St. James Parish. We've got to move up in the digital age. We've got to move forward. And one thing else, we have to go ahead and protect our deputies and detectives that were responding to calls for service. They were having level 2 body vests. We had to make the investment to move up to level 3 body vests to protect them, because the way they left the house is the same way that they want to return home. We are also citizens here at St. James Parish, and our kids and grandkids. But responding to the level of dangers that we receive, we had to upgrade their level 3 body vests from what they were wearing that was outdated. As I move on, we updated our social media sites. Also the application, or the James Parish Sheriff Office app, providing you more up-to-date information with things that happen in our parish. Let's be mindful. We're not living in Mayberry anymore. Crucial information that's provided to the citizens of St. James Parish regarding traffic accidents, weather, road closures, major incidents, and law enforcement investigative stops that we have within our parish. Remember, it's going to be pertinent information that's provided. Not all the information is going to be provided, but the information that's being provided will help you and assist you in taking alternate routes, or to stay out of the area that there's law enforcement activities taking place. We also put out information in reference to scams that are affecting our citizens of St. James Parish, so that you can become aware with that knowledge and pass that on to family, friends, and loved ones. I would like to encourage you to go ahead and download the St. James Parish Sheriff Office application itself. one thing in regrouping and refocusing and rebuilding with our citizens. I have to stand accountable for the confidentiality. I have to stand accountable for the information that's being shared with St. James Parish Sheriff Office. And with that being said, I stand before you this evening that you hold us accountable and hold our feet to the fire. That information that is shared with us, we have to rebuild that confidentiality with our citizens. We have to regain that trust and the confidence of the citizens of St. James Parish. I thank you for being patient with us. I thank you for holding our feet to the fire. I thank you for submitting anonymous tip that as we corroborate the information that's being provided to us, is helping in the betterment of St. James Parish. I've heard and I've read where is he taking St. James Parish Sheriff Office to? I've went over the first year. I've gone over our audit. Where do I see St. James Parish Sheriff Office along with St. James Parish citizens going? We have submitted grants to our U.S. senators, our Louisiana senator, our Louisiana representative, and also our U.S. congressman in reference to a $20 million grant that we're looking at creating or building the St. James Parish Sheriff Office Law Enforcement Complex along Highway 3125 in the town of Gramercy. We've overcome one hurdle, and there are several more to come. But I remain steadfast and focused on getting this done to where we can take St. James Parish Sheriff Office to the next level, into the future, in reference to housing our detectives, personnel, in reference to housing, should there be a natural disaster or any type of disaster that affects the citizens of St. James Parish, that we can have a point of distribution center set up, that we can go ahead and have the helipad center set up, that we can conduct more training with our citizens where they can come and feel safe to come and learn more about what's happening in St. James Parish. We're looking at a 2-story building covering 50,000 square footage. And with this vision that I have, that we have, we can begin to move forward. We're also looking for land on the West Bank, a sub-office that we're pressing forward with. This much needed investment in public safety will benefit our community and will benefit St. James Parish as a whole for years to come, and bring our law enforcement commitment to the next level. The citizens of St. James Parish, it is indeed a great honor to address you this evening. That as I shared with you our first year, our audit and future commitment to bettering our relationship with our greatest assets, the citizens of St. James Parish. It is indeed a humbling experience to serve as your sheriff, and our continuing obligation, my continuing commitment to give you the utmost service, protection that we as a team, St. James Parish Sheriff Office, can bring to you, can give to you, and also can relate to you. This evening, I thank you, we thank you as we move forward to bettering St. James Parish as a team effort. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your support. And above all, to God be the glory. God bless St. James Parish. God bless the state of Louisiana. And God bless these United States of America. Thank you for your continued support. Amen.